bother you, but I've got a review to do. Yes, I get more and more corny with every single video, and today I am reviewing Sorry to Bother You, directed by Boots Riley. Apparently this is his feature film debut as a director, which, man, what a way to get your cherry popped. I guess since the movie's so damn good, I guess he's popping our cherry, but I digress. This film stars Lakeith Stanfield, Tessa Thompson, Armie Hammer, Stephen Yeun. Omari Hardwick is also in this movie too. You might know him from Power. And so I guess this movie is kind of like a sci-fi comedy. I guess that's the way it's described. It's a movie that feels like it takes place in an alternate reality. At least it feels like it takes place in another reality, maybe a few years into the future of that reality. And Lakeith Stanfield stars as a character named Cassius. Cassius is a character that is very much down on his luck. He feels like he has the ambition to do great things, but he has nothing to show for it. He gets a job at this telemarketing program. During the course of the telemarketing program, as he rises up the ranks, he discovers that he has to change his voice in order to sell things to rich white people. If you've seen the trailer, then you already know what that means. He has to change his voice into a white voice. Using the white voice, he quickly starts accumulating sales and power and popularity. He gets a promotion, and before you know it, he's in the room with some very weird and dangerous people. And the further up the chain he climbs, he starts to face moral dilemmas that challenge who he leaves behind versus who he's becoming. Boots Riley directed this film, and I have to say, from a directing, visual, writing standpoint, this is one of the more unique theater experiences that I've had all year. This movie is so off-kilter. It's so unorthodox. It's so weird in all of the wonderful ways that you need to be weird. The way that this film is directed and written, it takes all of the psychedelic, futuristic shit, the satire that the movie's trying to pull off, and it somehow blends it so that it's somehow insightful, but at the same time really funny. I love the way everything was set up in this movie. The metaphors, the visuals, the commentary. From a visual standpoint, the cinematography is gorgeous. I love the shot composition, and I also love the editing. This is some of the best editing that I've seen in a movie this year. And because the visuals and the editing are so good, there are so many things that you just go with in this movie that maybe in other movies you would feel like, okay, are we breaking the fourth wall, or are we in a different movie now? You go with it, and you buy it, and you believe in what vision the director is trying to sell you. And I don't think any of that would work either without the great performances that this movie has in. Lakeith Stanfield is that actor who's had a bunch of smaller roles pop up over the years, ever since Straight Outta Compton. And this is my first time seeing him as a lead actor in his own movie. He crushes it, man. He does a really great job in this movie. His character is so nuanced and so versatile in the range of emotions that he has to pull off during this film. The character has the right amount of vulnerability and yet relatability. Like, you understand why he feels the way he feels. You understand that the emotions and the ambitions that he has in this movie, a lot of people in life carry themselves the way that this guy does, or at least they have those kind of emotions inside them. Tessa Thompson was also great too. Tessa Thompson is a really underrated, sexy ass actress. Not only does she work really well with Lakeith Stanfield, she plays his girlfriend, but she also plays an artist of sorts. And artistically, she's got a lot to say about the state of the world in this alternate reality that, I don't know, it's really interesting. I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say about her in this movie, because, again, this movie has a lot more to say than you would think. Top to bottom, the performances are outstanding across the board. Armie Hammer isn't in the movie that much, but I feel like he tries to steal every scene he's in. He's got a certain dark charisma to him in this movie that I can't even really quantify or put into words, but suffice it to say, I really enjoyed his character in this movie and what he represented for the story. Intellectually speaking, this movie has a lot on its mind, and it has a lot that it's trying to unload to you. It has a lot that it's trying to say to you. This is a film that has some political things to say. It's a film that has some social commentary that's kind of relevant to our climate. It's very satirical, and thematically the film just has a lot more weight written into every scene, into every character, into every line of dialogue than you would immediately think when you look at a movie like this. And yes, the movie is funny. There are definitely a lot of scenes in this movie that are going to have you dying laughing. Really, I would say that the laughing comes secondary to the story, the characters, and the themes that they're trying to present to you. Boots Riley is definitely a master of his craft if this movie is any indication, and because of this movie, I want to see more work from him. I want to see him direct more movies. I only have a couple of issues with the movie, but I do think that they are enough to knock this movie down a few pegs from me saying, oh, it's like a great, amazing movie. For starters, the whole white voice thing, it is very funny, and it is used often throughout the movie, but I do think that the lip syncing with the white voice could have been executed a little bit better. There are some moments where it didn't look like their mouths were matching up with the words that were being said, and I think that that could have been polished a little bit. But I guess most of my issues with this movie lie in the third act of this movie. Specifically, I feel like the third act of this movie kind of stalls the momentum. In fact, I feel like the movie loses its momentum as it goes into the third act. There are some really weird and messed up things that happen towards the third act, and I feel like some people are going to be on board with it because of the unique style of the film, and some people, it's going to take them out of the movie. There's just no getting around that. Personally, yeah, it was definitely a little jarring, but I don't think that's the reason why I wasn't on board for the third act. It just felt like the movie didn't really know how to end. It started meandering a little bit instead of following the really fun, stylish, tight narrative that it had followed for the first two acts. Guys, I gotta say, Sorry to Bother You is one of the weirdest experiences that I have had at the movies this year. It is funny, it is intelligent, it is insightful, it is extremely well acted, it is extremely well directed. Sorry to Bother You was great entertainment, and I'm going to say it was almost great by putting it in the Silver Age for Man of Steel. This is one of those limited release movies that I don't know that a lot of people are going to have a chance to see, but if you have a chance to see it, I would recommend you go out and see it. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on Sorry to Bother You. I will have reviews for Equalizer 2 as well as that Unfriended piece of shit movie that came out. Stay tuned for those. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.